Spinners, when fished by themselves, are probably the most productive lure for catching trout. When fished with a fly, they are still good, but not necessarily better than spoons or crankbaits. In my experience, all spinners produce similar results, yet different people will have different preferences. Below is a brief list of the most popular spinners in alphabetical order. Blue Fox works as well as any other spinner. Occasionally they might rust a little faster than some others. Mepps is the most established of the spinners and have been popular a long time. I recommend the Aglaia style in size 0 1/10 ounce for small to medium sized streams. Use the size 1 in medium to large streams. Panther Martin spinners have a compact form and spin reliably. I especially like the 1/16 ounce size for small stream fishing. Rooster tail spinners are one of my favorites. I like the way they look, particularly that soft hackle type tail. My only complaint is if the shaft gets bent, they tend to not spin well, especially the 1/16 ounce size. The 1/8 ounce size is a little more durable. Except for rooster tail spinners, I have not noticed any difference if the treble hook has a tail or not. The preferred way to attach a fly to a spinner is by the connector ring that the treble hook is attached to. Attaching your fluorocarbon fly leader line to the rear hook will also work well, as long as you aren't using barbless hooks. Due to the nature of how spinners work, I tend to fish them with a fly the same way I fish them without a fly. Some people fish them upstream and others fish them downstream. You can continue to fish in your usual method with a fly attached. Spinners represent a bait fish. They tend to be fished quickly and are therefore ideal for use with a streamer of any size. Small spinners around 1/16 ounce are also good to use with a number 12 soft hackle or a number 14 wet fly. It is best to avoid using nymphs with a spinner. I know some anglers who like to cast very small spinners, less than 1/16 ounce, for small stream trout. I recommend to not go less than 1/16 ounce, otherwise the slight drag from the flies will hurt your casting distance. If you want to present something small to the fish, then let the fly be the small offering. There should never be a need to go less than 1/16 ounce. Likewise, many people use large spinners when pursuing large trout. I recommend to not go over 1/8 ounce unless you need to for the extra casting distance. For me, a 1/8 ounce lure usually provides plenty of casting distance. If you want to give the fish a large offering, then let the fly be large, not the lure. The larger anything is, fly or lure, the easier it is for a fish to get a good look at it and detect it as a fake. Flies do a better job of convincing fish they are real and good to eat, and therefore it should be the fly that is large, not the lure. The basic method I have proposed for fly fishing with a spinning rod is to use a spinner, spoon, or crankbait in tandem with 1 or 2 flies. Many people have asked me about other lures. In my experience, other types of lures may work, but they do not work as well as spinners, spoons, or crankbaits. There are a variety of reasons for this, and part of it may have to do with the lures being either less flashy, less noisy, or less realistic than spinners, spoons, and crankbaits. Twister tail jigs are great at catching warm water fish such as smallmouth bass, but they are not realistic enough to fool many trout. Marabou leadhead jigs are very realistic and reasonably good at catching trout. However, they lack attractive ability and tend to sink too fast. If fishing a deep river where the fish are near the bottom, they might be a good option. Adding a spinner to a jig, such as the Roadrunner types, might work well on rock bass, but I've only caught a few trout on them. While the plastic worm may be the number 1 lure for largemouth bass, it does not work so well for trout. They have minimal attracting ability, and if a trout hits a plastic worm, they usually don't get hooked. Spinnerbaits represent fish such as bluegills that have a very wide body shape. They do not represent the body type of fish most common in trout streams. If a swim bait is realistic, it tends to be camouflaged and therefore a poor attractor. If it is a bright color, then the fish may see it, but it doesn't seem to inspire them to eat. I have never done well fishing swim baits for trout. Adding a sinker to cast out a fly such as a streamer or nymph can work. Obviously, sinkers have no attractive qualities and you'll never catch a fish on a sinker. The other problem with sinkers is they tend to sink too fast. However, if you're fishing a deep river with a strong current and there are snags near the bottom, a sinker type rig could be your best option. I would only use a bobber if I were fishing live bait. In those situations, they do tend to work well.